Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Friday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. It wasn't easy, Andy, but the Lakers got their first win of the season Thursday against Phoenix. We'll tell you how next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. Always free, never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube, Andy, where you can go hang out with over 21,000 subscribers to the channel, all of whom are relieved that the Lakers managed to pull out a win Thursday night against a shorthanded Phoenix Suns team in admirable fashion, in the sense of good effort, good grit, good determination, less admirable in the sense of great execution and dominant performances. But we'll break all of that down, Andy. Anthony Davis, a much better second half on Thursday than Tuesday. LeBron James blows through his minutes limit. Christian Wood, huge down the stretch, figuratively and literally. But this was a game. First, actually, let me tell you that today's episode is brought to you by Dave. Download Dave today at dave.com/lockedonnba, and you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. That's Dave. So this was a game, no Devin Booker, no Bradley Beal for the for Phoenix. And the Lakers did manage to win 195, the final score, but they were down by 12 and needed a 28-11 final score, a fourth quarter, to get to that final score. So now that it's over, Andy, your impressions?
I mean, they got better as the game went along, in the sense that I think, if nothing else, they did a better job of doing some of the dirty work and some of just the determination factors that were going to be required to win. Yep. They began doing better work on the defensive glass as the game went along. Christian Wood, who I know we're going to talk about, was huge along those lines. Christian Wood had a terrific game just in general. The offense never really clicked in this game, but I thought they did a better job as the game went along, just moving the ball.
A little bit.
Relatively speaking, they did a better job moving it. I think certain guys have been better with it than others, and I think there are many factors that come with limiting / tinkering with LeBron's minutes. But one of the things that I've noticed is the fewer minutes that he plays with the second unit because of this goal. This is a group that is lacking ball movers, and you often see it a lot. Right? Like, I think Darvin is going to have to think about, and this isn't necessarily a discussion for this show, it's just something I think to be mindful of as you see the way the season progresses between, Wood, Rui, even, Jackson Hayes, even Gabe Vincent, who is much more of a score-first defensive point guard than a pass-first defensive point guard. Cam Reddish. There's a lot of guys currently making up those minutes in the second unit that just frankly are not looking to pass. And you see that a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, LeBron, who ended up playing the entire fourth quarter, I guess, and blew through that, but it's still, even with play, only played 35 minutes. It wasn't like it pushed him into, 40, 41, 42. And that is a function of him playing fewer minutes as the game goes along. So there is something, I guess, to be said in terms of, like, if you need to go through what is a soft cap, as it was explained before the game. It's not a hard and fast minutes limit. It is a soft cap. They're trying to keep them between 28 and 32 or whatever it is. Obviously, they decided it was worth it to go through that cap on Thursday. They're really in an interesting place offensively, where especially with LeBron playing less and an emphasis on, I think, trying to make his life a little bit easier when he does play, they're in this sort of in-between place where I feel like Austin Reeves isn't quite, settled into what he's going to be doing. And do I distribute? Do I attack? What's going on? And other guys are like that. Wood offensively, I think they're still figuring out what are the best ways for us to find him shots without stopping the ball, without stopping movement. And then they just, they need to get better performances out of guys like Rui Hachimura, and, the shooting on Thursday was awful. The Lakers won this game shooting 5 of 29 from 3-point range. And when was the last 3-pointer they made in this game?
It came in the fourth quarter. Reeves had one.
Right, he had one, but then there was a huge drought in between. So they weren't hitting any shots.
Yeah,
they're in this weird kind of in between place. And I'll say, it is underwhelming to beat Phoenix on your floor in your home opener by 5 when they're not, they're without both Booker and Beal. But the only thing that I would say is worse than scratching out a win is losing. That would have been way worse.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at some of the, the way the minutes exactly shook out.
Mm-hmm.
But watching this game, before we get into some of the particulars with LeBron, with AD, with Wood, with other guys, you'd mentioned Austin Reeves still looking like he's trying to find his way. He's off to a very slow start. I don't think he's played particularly well in either game.
I thought he was better on Tuesday than he was tonight.
I don't personally think he was very good in either game. But one of the things that I've been thinking about with Reeves is, again, this effort to, which I understand. I mean, the execution is going to take some, work in the lab and some experimenting, push, pull, whatever. But I understand the impetus and urgency to reduce LeBron's minutes. I've been screaming about this for years, so I am fully behind it. But I've been wondering, I was wondering during this game, and I tweeted about this at Cam Brothers, if this tinkering with LeBron's minutes is affecting Reeves, like in terms of the minutes that they're apart, because the two of them played extremely well together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean what I'm about to say is a slight against Reeves, because I think in those minutes together, Reeves brought plenty to the table. But with all due respect to Reeves, he likely suffers more from LeBron's absence than LeBron suffers from his. I mean, and not because LeBron's carrying him, but because the overall organization of everything suffers without LeBron.
I mean, and look, and we're not talking about 25. So it's these are minute or two segments at a time, in the grand scheme of things. And even when LeBron's on the floor, Reeves hasn't played as well as he needs to. I don't think there's any question. And so, this is stuff we'll keep getting into. But, when you look at what the Lakers stars were doing, we spent all of the show basically Tuesday night into Wednesday for Wednesday's show after the Denver game talking about no second half points for Anthony Davis. This was not a problem on Thursday. AD was great. 30 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, including the free throws that iced it. This is what people expect from and need from AD.
Yeah, and this was the second half line for AD specifically. 19 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 7 of 7 at the line, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal. I know there will be people who say, it was against Yusef Nurkic, who he owns and was in foul trouble for a lot of this game. And, I know that Drew Eubanks is solid and, valuable enough that Phoenix, tampered to get him. They sacrificed a second round pick down the line because they wanted to make sure they had Drew Eubanks in the fold. So there are going to be people who are going to say, show it to me against a full squad team, and fair enough. But AD was massive in this game. It was interesting. Afterwards, LeBron was doing an on-court interview for TNT, and he was asked about the criticism of Anthony Davis after the scoreless second half in game 1 in that loss. And he said, quote, "We don't give a bleep about the criticism of AD. We don't care. Nothing bothers us. He doesn't care." I don't know if guys have figured that out. AD does not care. He's not on social media, so he doesn't see that other crap. He rarely talks unless it's to us. So we don't give a bleep about it. And he definitely doesn't. He's going to do his job, and we have to have AD.
Another presence absolutely felt in this game was LeBron's. Again, played the entire fourth quarter, blew through that soft cap, and the Lakers needed every ounce of it. And it was just revealing of how this is going to play out and what potentially the Lakers are going to be trying to do. It was also potentially revealing of some weaknesses the Lakers have. We'll get to all that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Dave, and finances can be really overwhelming. Lately, I've had some unexpected dental work that I've needed to take care of, combined with some unexpected household expenses. And it's like, how do I handle this? And that's why you need Dave. Dave can make managing your money so much easier with an interest-free advance, fee-free goal tracking, and easy ways to find a side hustle to make more money. Dave is the banking app that's leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. Advance the money you need with no interest. Settle up later. You can even build credit when you settle up on time. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to make their finances easier. Download the Dave app today at dave.com/LockedOnNBA. That's dave.com/LockedOnNBA. You can get up to $500, again, in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com/LockedOnNBA. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility, criteria, and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, a member FDIC.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Jace. Andy and I, we are in Southern California, and there's always the concern of earthquakes. We live in earthquake country. Maybe you live in Texas and you've got, tornadoes or hurricanes in Florida. I mean, wherever you live in the United States, there's something where there's an emergency, where you need medication, where your ability to access medication may not be instant like we're all used to. And that's where you can get the Jace case. The Jace case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jace is continually working to expand those medication offerings. And one example, ivermectin, something that there's been a lot of demand, and now that is an option with the Jace case. You can buy gift cards for your family or loved ones so they can get a Jace case of their own. Go to jacemedical.com, enter the code locked on at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's the promo code locked on at jasemedical.com. LeBron James, Andy, it was pretty clear, felt that this game was one that needed to be won. If there's some upside to these shorter minutes earlier in the game, it does leave the Lakers with some flexibility into the fourth quarter, but they were down by 12. This was not the plan that they had in mind. And they left LeBron out on the floor because they needed every minute of LeBron James to win. He was excellent, and the team was just significantly better when he played. This is a trend that has been there since LeBron got here that I think they're hoping to try to work past so they can get some of that consistency when he's not on the floor. But as it was on Tuesday, when they won the LeBron minutes and got just annihilated when he was off the floor, they were way up in the LeBron minutes on Thursday and got beat up when he wasn't there.
Yeah, some of this is obviously just a function of LeBron's greatness. And, you are, generally speaking, always better when your best players are on the floor. And when
when KD, there was a strike, KD goes off the floor, they're beating up on the Lakers. Lakers go on a 20-5 run, instantly.
I mean, it is to be expected that the Bookerless, Beal-less Suns will not be able to do a damn thing without Durant on the floor. And you know what? Hypothesis turned out to be accurate. They were pretty much lost without him there. Durant played one hell of a game.
And I point this out just to reinforce your point that stars leaving the floor can make a big difference for any team.
Yeah, Durant had 39 points, 14 of 28 from the field, 1 of 5 from the arc, 10 of 13 at the line. And honestly, a lot of Durant's looks I thought were pretty well contested. Like, I don't think Durant had many easy looks in this game at all. It's
and
just
the Lakers only really slowed him down in the fourth quarter because they threw multiple bodies at him and just basically said, you, Kevin Durant, are not going to beat us tonight without hitting some miraculous shots. We don't know who those other people are, but if they happen to hit some shots, go with God. It's not going to be you tonight, and it worked.
Yeah, but like I was saying before, there some of this is the function of LeBron's greatness, and, particularly when you're talking about greatness at LeBron's historic level, but also too, so much of any offense with LeBron is heliocentric, and it becomes so difficult to replicate what he does and how things are supposed to function when he's not there.
This is where the depth is supposed to make a difference. And, the Lakers, it's funny, like Gabe Vincent did some good things, but was 0 of 5 from 3-point range. D'Angelo Russell, I thought, did some good things over the course.
D'Lo had a nice game.
But 1 of 7 from 3-point range really hurts. He's 6 of 16 overall and 1 of 7 from 3. And he's supposed to take 7 threes.
Sure.
He's got to make more than one of them. And the functioning of the offense it's just not going to be there when they're 5 of 29 from 3-point range. So
absolutely. This isn't a one-off either.
It's sure, but I'm just saying, it's hard to completely tell, I think, just on tonight, because Taurean Prince was 0 for 5 on the floor, didn't score a point the entire night. I think they have enough there to function effectively when LeBron doesn't play. They've got guys who can move the ball. They've got guys who can attack the basket and score and do things when LeBron's not there. They should be able to play better minutes when he's not on the floor. And if they can't figure out how, it could be a bit of a longer season.
Absolutely. But, this is also...
I understand what you're saying, and I don't even think that you're necessarily wrong. I just don't know if I'm accepting that as the reason that they have struggled through.
I think it's a reason. It's a reason because it's been a reason for LeBron's entire career. I understand,
but I don't think it should be. They are better equipped to handle that this year and need to get better at it.
Certainly, no. I'm not saying this is acceptable or something that they have to learn to live with. Clearly, it's not. Otherwise, why do you bother building this roster? I'm just saying it's not a problem that has been easily solved. It's probably a function in part of them still getting used to Gabe Vincent because he missed so much of training camp. LeBron playing sporadically
stuff with different lineups.
Yeah, I think Darvin's going to have to tinker with where some of the prime ball handlers on this team play and with whom, and mix up some of this. Because again, like I said, some of the second unit, it's lacking for ball movement. It just is. And, Gabe Vincent, if he's running the show, that's not really what he does as the primary guy in his career. He's much more
do that there.
Yeah, he's much more of a score first guy. And I don't mean that as a dig on Vincent. I'm just saying I think it's one of the things that they're going to have to figure out in terms of delegating where the minutes come and the floor combinations.
Well, that's when people ask, it's one reason why, Russell and Vincent play minutes together is in part to alleviate the problem we're talking about. And they created decent, like D'Lo, even on Tuesday, there were a couple of, breakdowns of some of the shots that were created by Russell, who I thought was okay on Tuesday. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was awful, but they just have to make, in the preseason, part of what made everything look so awesome was that they were making the shots from the perimeter that they missed on Thursday.
True.
If you are, say, 10 for 29, which isn't great, but it's better than 5. This whole game looks very different. So we'll see what happens. And we'll see, obviously, the shooting's got to get better. And this does feel like a one-off. They're not a 18% shooting team.
No, I mean, just
but you mentioned some of these lineups, Andy. The one that got everybody's attention was one that you and I have been skeptical would be able to play effectively together. That was Christian Wood playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Lakers got a ton of mileage out of it on Thursday. Talk about Christian Wood's performance, and we'll tell you whether or not that kind of success can be replicated in more games. That's next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Prize Picks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stats projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is the most fun you can have, winning up to 25 times your money this football season. There is an enormous selection of players and stats to choose from, and Prize Picks offers weekly promotions with big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, channel your inner LeBron, enjoy some tacos as Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. And with Prize Picks reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For NFL games and college football top 25 matchups, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half, doesn't return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100 again, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
So there was a moment, Andy, in the first half where I'm looking at him saying, I think that's Christian Wood and LeBron James and Anthony Davis all out on the floor together. That kind of worked all right. And then, they sub it out and it's over. But that got my attention. And then obviously they leaned hard into that lineup down the stretch. That was what brought them home with that alignment on the floor. That is one that you and I have both been skeptical could work. You particularly because, broadly speaking, it makes LeBron a small forward and asks him to guard other small forwards. Why you don't want to be doing that 25 minutes a night if that's your starting unit together. But it worked very well against the Suns. What were you seeing out of that? Because I liked what I saw, but I'm also a little bit skeptical.
Well, first of all, just Christian Wood had a terrific game tonight, period. And what in part made it terrific was it was a night where he really shined without scoring. He had just 7 points, 2 of 7 from the field, missed both of his attempts from behind the arc. Got almost half of his points at the line. So it was really a night where his shot wasn't falling. But he had 10 rebounds, 8 on the defensive glass, and that was a big deal. Early in this game, the Lakers were getting crushed, giving up second chance points, something we saw a lot against Denver in the first game. He had a really nice assist setting up AD at the rim. He didn't get credited for a block on KD down the stretch, but I thought he got a piece of this is a big moment when KD was trying to get the game within 2, I believe. I thought Wood might have gotten a piece from behind, but either way, and then you get into his defense. He was often on an island against Durant, and he played him really well. Like his length clearly bothered Durant. He kept his feet going. It was at a time where I think Durant was starting to wear down as it was, which made
and the Lakers threw a lot of bodies around. They like I said, they doubled. Sometimes
they did, but
with length.
They did, but at the same time,
ended up on him too. It's like they threw a lot of looks and a lot of coverages at him, including Christian Wood.
Yeah, I mean they did. They definitely were throwing doubles at him, particularly down the stretch. But Wood also had him by himself at times, and I thought handled it very credibly. I mean, he was moving his feet well. He was clearly dialed into it. He talked after the game about Darvin saying to him, "We need you in there for your rebounding. I'm not worried about your shot falling." Like the things that Darvin has been stressing with Christian Wood a
Mhm.
lot. And the things that, quite frankly, Christian Wood has not shown over his career the propensity to do on a regular basis, other than the rebounding. He's always been good on the glass.
He's been good on the glass, but
As a defensive rebounder, he's been really good
right. But
his whole career.
But in terms of being like just an impactful, high leverage kind of player, like that's just always been a knock on him. That whether you're talking about the right defensive play, the right rebounding, the motor to go after, the 50-50 ball or whatever it is. And, when you say what made Wood's game good is that he did stuff without scoring, that is the formula for him to be able to find a role and play crunch time minutes on this team. Because if it comes down to the scoring like that, there's still an awkwardness there. They need to be able to find ways to make things work with him on the floor and utilize the threat of Wood without stopping the ball, without dumping it down to him in the post and suddenly people are standing around. Because as he's a talented player, you don't want to do that for Christian Wood.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of what I was talking about before. I just think the second unit has some things to work out.
Yeah.
Period.
So where I was encouraged to see it, because it's fun to see teams try something a little different and go big and see if we can make this size work. And it does create a lot of different matchups and issues and all that, because Wood and Davis are fine together offensively, because both of them, Anthony Davis shooting the ball pretty well from three so far after 2 games. Both of them can move inside and outside. They require you to cover each of them. And then obviously LeBron is LeBron. Where I wonder if this can work, and I'm really curious to see how Darvin tries it again, when he tries it again, against which teams he tries it again, because it worked in part, I thought, on Thursday, because the Lakers could throw everything at KD and ignore everyone else.
Absolutely.
And so LeBron didn't have any real defensive responsibilities. There were no other players to, smaller players, wing guys to worry about on switches that could put Wood on an island or LeBron on like whatever it might be. Phoenix didn't have those guys. And so the Lakers just tilted everything at KD. I want to see how this works against anyone else, basically.
Yeah, I mean, a team, to put this in perspective, KD took more than a third of the Suns' shots in this game. They took 81 total shots. Durant had 28.
Yeah,
and that's
I think Frank Vogel probably thought that was too few.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even counting, the attempts that don't get recorded but put him to the line where he's fouled. All that. I mean, it was keeping track of Kevin Durant and keeping track of Kevin Durant only. The next 2 guys, Gordon and Eric Gordon and Jordan Goodwin, together only had 3 more shots than Durant.
Right.
So,
and Gordon got off to a pretty hot start, was pretty quiet after that. It's like this team offense. So what does it look like against teams, over the weekend against Sacramento, who have a much more, a wider array of offensive options than Phoenix did on Thursday? What does it look like against the Suns when they can actually play their lineup? I don't think the Lakers can go to that again against those types of teams, but I think we're going to find out if, I think they're going to test it, because if it's one of these deals where do you happen upon one of these lineups that creates so much other problems for the opponent that you can afford to maybe have some shortcomments there. And I'm curious to see how far Darvin pushes it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are correct that the situation tonight, both in terms of the need for more length, like they wanted to put more length out there specifically to bother Durant and have that optionality out there. For that matter, giving props, especially in terms of guys who there have been question marks about, and defense has not been their forte. I thought Cam Reddish worked his ass off trying to defend Durant, and I thought he made KD work. And there were a couple times where he forced turnovers. Like he's not going to win that battle. Not in a million years.
No, I think he's.
But it was one of those things where, again, you saw the efforting for length in this matchup. You saw where Vanderbilt was missed. In all honesty, Jared Vanderbilt was missed in this game a lot.
I think there's something to be said for, guys like Reddish and, the people who break down the tape can do it better than me. I just am still not super impressed. But I like that they had to grind out a win. They were throwing points up on the board in the preseason. It was like water. It was easy. It was just, everything was flowing so nicely, and it just hasn't. It certainly didn't on Thursday, and only in scattered moments, really, I thought on the opener on Tuesday, did they really look comfortable offensively. And so, you're down by 12 in the fourth quarter, and you say to yourselves, if we're going to win, we need to lock them up. There cannot be mistakes in this fourth quarter. And for a while, the Lakers were having trouble. I think they were 4 of 15 at one point in the fourth, but they had gained ground because Phoenix had one field goal. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the Suns score 11 points. The Lakers pull away. They get a win. And, this game, as ugly as it was in the springtime, when tiebreakers happen and all this other stuff, we could look back at this one and say, remember that game that they sort of raggedy game that they scratched out and stole when Beal and Booker didn't play? Well, guess what? Now they have a higher seed because of it. That is 100% possible based entirely on this game.
That's why I said heading into it was must win. It's not literally must win when it's game 2, but when you think about practical ramifications, how difficult the schedule is to begin and how difficult the conference is in terms of opportunity, it's must win. I stand by that.
Lakers head to Sacramento for a game on Sunday night, and then return to the Crypt for a game against Orlando on Monday. So back-to-back, first one of those of the year, but not a terribly taxing one from a travel standpoint, at least. So that's good. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see the show, hang out with upwards of 21,000 plus fans of the Lakers and of basketball, and great community that's building there. Leave questions, leave comments. We'd love to use them on the show. We will see everyone on Monday.